Welcome everyone to our podcast. It's me, Zero, here with.
The Decade.
And Spider5597, and today we're talking about episode 14 of Kamen Rider Ex-Aid, entitled We Are Kamen Riders. So this episode, really good. It starts out with him checking on Shirakawa, who is the patient, in stewing and is apologizing that they let the bugster get away at the end of the last episode. Well, not quite the end of the last episode, between episodes. So yeah, because Shirakawa just says, "Forget about me, I have cancer," which is whatever. And then Hiro's up in the room asking why Imu split into two, which is when we get our flashback to the end of episode 13, where we see the two Ex-Aids arguing over who's Imu. And then they start trying to fight the monster, and they're fighting over the weapon, and in that time, both the Bugster and Genom get away. And he transforms, and then faints due to a headache.
Well, I mean, I just thought it was interesting that even though this power pretty much manifested from his body, it has some sort of bad side effect, so we'll see how that plays out later on, but it's a pretty good plot device so far, I guess.
Yeah, I mean that was interesting. It's straight up doing the blade thing where it's like, okay, I'm still learning to control it, so I'm just gonna pass out from
That's exactly what I was thinking, but I kind of changed my mind from stuff later on in the episode.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really agree with you too. So yeah, we get Taiga.
Oh wait, I still got something to say about this.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, it is interesting that they're fighting, but it's kind of funny because it's like the straight split of like, oh, this is the doctor side and this is gamer M side. And like,
it was pretty funny.
Yeah. Even weirdly, like the first scene is when Emily's talking to the patient, and he's like being super nice and stuff, and like doctor-wise, I'm like, you're nice, but I'm like, dude, you're not this nice. And it's like, yeah, later on when we see like he's not stable after refusing, so I'm like, oh, was that the doctor one? Like more taking over, because like the gamer one takes over later on. Right, and then yeah, I actually love like their speech patterns too, where like they all speak. Yeah, they all speak differently. Like Emu speaks one way, and then like blue form and orange form speak differently. But okay, it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, Japan, because they have different levels of politeness, and the other thing is like most of English we generally don't change the wording unless you're deliberately trying to change the wording of a sentence. But in Japan, it's like you say the same word, but you just say it slightly differently to indicate like politeness or rudeness or whatever. And like, so basically, Emu says it like normal, and then like blue form says it like, you know, a guy would. So it's a little less polite, but you know, it's okay. It's standard guy speak basically. And then like,
I thought it was the other way around. Orange uses Ore and blue uses Boku.
Yeah.
Ore being more of the guy speak.
Yeah, no. Ore is a guy's thing, but it's even more rough. So like when Momo does it, like Momotaro's, where it's like Ore Sanjo, it's just like, yeah, I've arrived basically. Or, you know, I came or whatever. It's basically like, you can say Boku Sanjo, Watashi Sanjo, it's the same damn thing. It's just three ways of saying the same word. Or same meaning word, basically. It just means I, but different levels. So it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, unless you actually change the sub wording, like it's kind of hard to understand like why they're so different, even though they're talking basically the same way.
Right. You done with that?
Yeah, I'm done.
So yeah, we then see Taiga also wondering what's going on with Emu. And Nico appears again. I want more info on her. And we still don't have more info on her. Give me more info on her. No. But she just appears and asks if Taiga's ready to give him a thrashing. So yeah. She's still mysterious as ever.
Well, getting
Dan wants to...
getting
What?
less mysterious this episode. We're finally starting to
Very
get like
slightly.
little hints. But, that's later on. Continue.
Right. Dan once again's going, if a human used the double gas shot, they should have been hit with the big thing of the Bugster virus and die. And Paradigm goes, yeah, but for now we know that he is indeed different from the other writers. Dan says that Parada's gas shot is finished, which we won't see until next episode. Dan also goes, I won't allow regular games created without my approval. So Dan is now Nintendo.
Oh my god, that's amazing.
Yeah.
I can't take credit for that joke. I saw it on Twitter. But
That's
it's still
beautiful.
amazing.
So many game jokes, man. It's freaking great. Yeah,
Yeah, Dan says that the Mighty Brothers must be retrieved and erase the data off of it.
of course, man. Nintendo can't allow unlicensed Mario to exist.
I thought it was interesting that for once we see that Dan doesn't hold all the cards. After
Right.
disposing of Kiria, it seemed like he had all the cards, but now he's kind of unsettled by this development.
Right.
Yeah, like, you see it really kind of get under his skin because even Peridot's kind of being a smartass a little bit, and then, like, Dan just gives him this one look, and Peridot's like, alright, I crossed the line there.
So yeah, we then go back to Nico and Taiga. And Nico seemingly knows something about him, and says he never used to use Boku. And Taiga goes, what do you know about his past? And she never says anything past that. Unless she does, and we just don't know. It's just annoying, because we start to get information, and then we don't.
I mean,
I want to know.
it's a good show if it's like, I want to. But the thing is, like, normally I'd be like, oh, this is annoying. It's gonna get dragged out for the next, like, 10 episodes. But with this show, it'll be like 3 and done. Right?
Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, we're getting so much stuff. Because we know, like, Dan's father is gonna be a player. Is gonna be a major character eventually. So we know his plot is gonna happen, which means either Dan's gonna be there or he's gonna get pushed out of the way later on. So it's like, alright, the last third of the show has to be something different, which means Nico's stuff probably is gonna get dealt with in the second third of the show. So, like,
Right.
it's not we don't have to wait till, like, episode 35 for this to come out.
So yeah, where were we? MA tells Hiro about the patient's pancreatic cancer. They won't cure him just by beating game syndrome. And says that the patient needs to get a surgery for his cancer. And Hiro just says, stop getting involved with the patients once more. And the doctor requesting a surgery that the patient doesn't want is unheard of. Which is true.
Yeah, that is true. That's a pretty major violation, man. Like, patients' rights and stuff. Once again, like, Hiro kind of takes a hard line to things, but, like, from a medical standpoint, everything he says kind of makes sense.
Right.
So it's kind of good to see that, like, oh, I'm the protagonist, the kind-hearted one. If everybody has to listen to what I had to say, like, no. Bro, you're, like, crossing a line here. And so, like, Hiro just puts him down. But it is nice that, like, later on Emu does. Okay, this is interesting because it's kind of one of those things like Blue wins over basically the patient, sort of. Well, I guess Hero does, but like he does half the work. Like he figures out what the patient's really on about, and then Orange kind of like again does half the work, where he like goads Hero into like, man, what are you about? Saving patients' lives or your stupid reputation? You know, like it's a little more in your face, but like if it gets the job done.
So yeah, going back to Hero talked about surgery's patient doesn't want. Hero Emu just says, but he really does want the operation. The fact that the Bugster attacked you is proof. Since attacking you and getting rid of you caused more stress, it means that he does want it, indeed.
Yeah, that was interesting.
Which is kind of stretching it, I think, but...
See, it kind of makes last week's episode a little more interesting, because I'm like, oh, he's back for revenge, but I'm like, did Salty just come back for revenge against Emu? Like, at first I'm like, yeah, he did, but I'm like, no, he didn't. He went after the mom of the kid, right? So, like, putting aside somehow that the Bugsters magically have the ability to know what somebody's freaking stress is and go right after it, it's good that, like, he went after Hero. I mean, it's not that the patient wanted the surgery, it's more like the patient knows that with Hero's a brilliant surgeon and maybe he could cure him. Right, so like, he's not really even afraid of the Bugster virus because it's like, who cares? That's not even the major problem, right? Like, the problem is the cancer, and like, Hero could potentially take it out, but like, his pride... See, that's one of those like interesting things with like the show, is like it shows weirdly it's like, oh, what, gaming and doctors don't have anything in common, but like when it comes to pride, like gamer pride's a thing, but like holy shit, man, freaking doctors, like they're nice and helpful, but like you forget that these people are like brilliant, and that means they have an ego, and like that tends to run into a lot of problems in like the medical community. And like saving face and all that, so especially in Japan, so I guess it kind of makes sense why he wouldn't just ask Hero for help for all that conflict.
Well, he does kind of, he does end up asking Hero for help.
Yeah.
And asking him to perform the surgery.
Yeah, later on, after like Emu like straight up tells him, it's like, what are you doing, man? Like, your life's more important than your stupid pride, basically. I mean, he doesn't say it like that, but he kind of like forces him to confront what's really stopping him from asking for help. You know, so it's one of those interesting things. Like, for the weird theming that the show has, it's managing to figure out interesting ways to use it.
Yep.
So yeah. He does anything else, Decade?
Nope.
Okay. So he does end up asking Hero to perform the surgery, and that he asks Hero to return his gadgets to him so he can do said surgery. Where was it? Hero then goes to talk to Shirakawa about the pancreatic cancer operation. Says there are lots of risk involved, but there is nothing I cannot cut. Back to that catchphrase. The Bugster appears in the hospital looking for Hero. And Emu just appears to say he won't be here. He's doing an operation. Which I think is kind of nice.
Yeah, I mean, it's showing that, like, yeah, we have multiple doctors, man. So, like, not everybody has to show up to fight. Like, it's one of those nicer things about Ghost, but they just took it way too far. Where it's like, alright, all the damn writers are fighting now. I'm like, can't you guys do something else? Like, at least in this, it's like, alright, we got one doctor doing the operation, you know, the surgeon. And, like, the damn guy who's good at fighting is helping out by, you know, stopping the threat. So, like, two of you, you know, you can do more than one thing at a time. So that's very smart. A little bit of, like, O's vibe, but not because of the story, just more because of the setting. I was wondering how long it would take before we got one of these like, oh, surgery is happening and fight scene. I mean, it's in Agito also, but like I just remember the last one being in O's. You guys got anything on this?
No.
So yeah, Emu transforms to standard just action gamer. Hero starts the surgery, and the surgery is kind of interlaced through the fight scenes, and it's just boring, kind of. There's nothing of interest going on, so I'm just not going to mention them, if that's okay with you.
He's sweating.
Yeah.
That's all I need to know.
I was gonna say like it's kind of interesting. I'm like, okay, it's a kids show, so they're not gonna actually show the operation or anything. And like, it's been a long time since early Heisei, man. We're not gonna see blood anytime soon, or at least in an operation or anything like that. But it's also clever that like, okay, somebody did like some research at least. So it at least seems more like, okay, maybe those actually are the steps for the operation. I don't know. Maybe they consulted
Probably
a doc.
not.
They're what?
Probably not.
It sounded legit. That's all that matters.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I'm like, okay, maybe they either consulted someone or, I don't know, freaking watched a video about it or something. But
Or it's kids watching, it doesn't matter.
yeah, that's the point. But at least they, put the effort in to try to make it seem like a medical drama. Because, like, they clearly don't have to. But, like, it's nice when they do the extra effort. Like, it's a good job, writer. And, like, good job cutting these, like, scenes together and everything. Like, this episode was really well done. Like, it had good editing. Plus interesting shots and like cute editing moments where like when it flashes back to like the two Ex-Aids and then like the belt sounds sync up to like Asuna's like eyelid flashes. Yeah, that was
Blinking.
cute. And then something happens where it cuts to like, oh right, that's later on. When they're fighting, it cuts to this interesting like POV shot where you see them like attacking and like passing the weapon. I'm like, that was a cool ass.
Oh, yeah, we can get to that.
Okay. Continue.
So yeah, we get it. Action Gamer starts fighting. Ex-Aid does a critical strike in the holder with Baxo Bike, and it summons a laser bike for him to read, although it doesn't have eyes. And so then just proceeds to hit the bugster with the bike and drives around for a bit with the bugster stuck to the front of the bike until Jan appears in front of him and forces him to stop and transforms into a zombie gamer.
Yeah, classic rider move there.
Yeah.
Road rage as a weapon.
Zombie Genom starts beating up on Ex-Aid using the Ashcan Sparrow. Taiga and Nico appear. Nico goes, go beat him up, and Taiga just says no. Wait.
Yeah.
Which I thought was kind of interesting. I still want to know why she wants him to beat him up.
Yeah, I want to know that too, but like the interesting thing I love about that is like when she shows up in like Taiga's office and she's kind of like messing around with all his stuff, it would seem like, oh no, she's just come here to smack some sense into this character and sort of take over like the annoying parts of fucking Double.
Yeah, no.
But we didn't do that because like Taiga then gives her some info, but I'm thinking Taiga is just making a play, so he's like gaining her trust because then later on she's just like, oh, go beat him up and stuff, and it's like he totally ignores her. He's like, whatever, I'm gonna make my move when I think it's best.
Right.
So I think he's still like everything he's helping her with, like I think he's still trying to, he's keeping his options open basically.
Right.
Any thoughts, Tekken?
I just thought it was kind of silly a bit. I mean, she sees that he's getting ganged up on 2-1, and she's like, oh, why don't you join in and beat up Ex-Aid too?
Hey, 3-1.
Yeah. Snow on
So
it.
yeah, somebody get him in the Bugster, beat up Ex-Aid enough to knock him out of his transformed state. Somebody get him just goes, as the game master, I forbid you from making irregular games without my approval. I will delete the game.
Lawsuit.
Yeah, man.
Like,
Sorry, what?
what?
Oh, I just said lawsuit.
Lawsuit.
Yeah. Yeah, copyright strike. Oh.
And then when she goes, what are you talking about games? This isn't a game. This is an operation.
Oh, that was an awesome
which
moment.
was silly.
What?
And awesome at the same
Yeah,
time.
I know. It's like the best kind of like cheesy over the top writer thing. I'm like, yeah. I mean, like his henshin wasn't as cool as last week's, like that dramatic henshin shot.
Right.
I mean, they tried to make it that cool, but I think last week's shot was perfect. This was, like 85% there.
So yeah, Emu transforms into Kamen Rider Double Action Gamer X, level X, for like 5 seconds, so he can go die Henshin.
Oh god, I fucking hate the arm waving thing. It's like, it just reminds me of like Beethoven, even lamer.
Yes. And he goes, Kamen Rider Ex-Aid, Double Action Gamer level X, double XR, and Kamen Rider Ex-Aid, Double Action Gamer level double XL.
Yeah.
R being the primarily orange one, L being the primarily cyan one.
Fucking hell. These names, man.
I know.
I thought
These names.
the freaking double movie's name was bad.
Yes, these names are just...
Holy shit. Imagine if they made double now. Could you imagine the name scheme in this insanity? Like, because it's the dual forms, right?
Right.
Like,
I'm just sitting here typing up my list and going, X8 Double Action Gamer. I'm like, no, this is long. It needs to be longer. Add on the Kamen Rider. I'm just going, these names are long enough, make them longer.
yep, they're getting paid by the word.
Nico's sitting over with Taiga and just goes, what? Why is he split in two?
That was great. That's such a great reaction. Because especially lately, we've been getting so many, like, since Decade, we've been getting so many writers that have, like, the split forms. Like, Decade has 3 when he does his copy thing. Oz has, like, freaking the ultimate one-man army thing with a pure green form.
Got a kitty bar.
Yeah, I love that thing. Then, I don't think Forze has anything. I don't know, I haven't really seen Forze.
He doesn't.
He has all 40 switches. He must have something in there.
Yeah, I mean, Wizard has, like, copies, so it's kind of like...
And all dragon.
Yeah, and then the dragon forms, so it's sort of like the split thing. Yeah, I mean, the dragon forms are the closest thing to this, but even then, they don't have their own, like, personality this much.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, like, his copies certainly don't, because they're just a improved version of Decade's multiply thing.
I think it'll be interesting to see more
Yeah.
of how they are individuals.
I mean, it's weird
If we
because,
get
like,
to see that.
half of them do, and half of them... Actually, no. Freaking... What's next? Gaim? I don't think Gaim has a multiply...
Drive had nothing.
Yeah, they have too many, right?
GK Drive had nothing.
Oh, it did, but it's only in the movies. I think it's like Shadow instead of just making the... It's in the intros, too, from, I guess, parts of the movie where it's like, instead of just making the, like, energy shuriken thing, it just, like, allows him to split also, but I think it's only in the movie.
Yeah.
And then Coast doesn't have it, but he has like 15 different guys he can summon. So it's like, I mean, and then like Alan has 3. I guess Houdini technically can count.
But yeah. The two halves, Eleanor summon the Key Slasher, which I find it interesting that 2 bodies have to share 1 weapon.
Yeah.
Just go, we'll clear it together with super co-op play. And then comes a really badass action scene. Just
Uh,
passing them between it.
It's
I love
so
that.
good. I mean, I really like, you know what? It's cool in this because like, oh, super co-op. Like, yeah, that's cool and all, but like, it's not gonna last.
And I guess we should talk about the actual forms themselves because we didn't last week. What are your thoughts on XXL and XXR? Double XL and double XR.
I mean, they're basically the same thing with a different head and a color swap. So,
It's an interesting suit design.
yeah.
Giant shoulder pads.
I know. One of the cooler things in this is when they like go side to side in the fight and like their shoulder pads basically connect. I was like, oh man, choreography. That was beautiful.
Yeah.
The other weird thing is like, yeah, it's cool for this episode. Yeah, I thought their weapons were gonna split too, but they didn't. It's cool for this episode, but I'm pretty sure as soon as they start pulling, more episodes, they're just gonna be like, all right, here, you get the hammer, I get the sword.
Well, I think only one of the two action figures comes with one. But yeah. They go with the mighty double critical strike, which is frankly quite OP. Just defeat the bug star.
I love how
Overkill.
even they say that. That thing was,
I think that was a bit overkill. Yeah, maybe.
yeah, it was great. That rider kick was so overkill, but I'm like, it sucks
So
that this is gonna be like once in a show. Like, Drive's
I know.
awesome rider kick, which they do like twice maybe.
I know.
I know, this is so nice. I'm like, shit, it's OP, but it's like, you know what? This is an overpowered form. It should look like this. I mean, it's
So,
got
yeah.
like, no. Let's just continue with this. Because it's got like the best type of thing. Like, it's got a little bit of Showa throwback, right? When it starts up. Then it goes just batshit crazy with like the Neo Heisei Insanity. And like at the end,
Go
it's like
back
the
to level X.
yeah,
and
back to level
down to
10
level X.
to then do a freaking double style rider kick. I was like, that's great. What do you think, Decade?
No, you guys pretty much summed it up. It is quite awesome. I've watched it like more than 10 times.
Yeah, I know. Just gonna go back and watch it over and over. So yeah, the bugster is absorbed into the bug visor. Emu faints again from like a headache, although it doesn't appear to be very long. While he is down, Taiga walks over to him and takes a sample of his blood from his scrapes. I don't think you're gonna get a decent sample, but whatever story.
It's fucking Kamen Rider. They're being infected by a game virus. Like, at this point, I'm amazed they're like,
Yeah.
they didn't just pull out that stethoscope and just scan him one go and figure it out, which would have raised so many questions. But at least they're like, alright, I'm getting a blood sample. Like, alright, fair enough.
So yeah. They go back to the hospital. Hero's portion of the soju is successful, and the patient thanks Emu for helping him. Just kind of in a silent, nice looking scene with the mask. That was nice.
Yeah, this was nice. I mean, like, it's a really good showcase of, like, basically, it's a really good showcase of what this show could be at, like, full throttle. Like, Taiga has something to do, Hiro has something to do, Emu has something to do, Dan and Peridot are doing their own shit. Like, the plot's going forward, the action's amazing, crazy forms, but they make it work, interesting camera angles, like, such a good episode.
Yeah.
So yeah. Then we get to the bomb drop of the episode. Tiger runs a test on Emu's blood and discovers why Emu was able to split in half. Which is because Emu has the game syndrome.
Fox died, damn it.
What?
Metal Gear reference.
Oh.
No, I was like, oh my god. Seriously, we're doing nanomachines? Like, you fuckers. If they actually do I was like, okay, it's probably not Emu who's infecting the patients because that wouldn't make any sense. He didn't meet them. But like, if they did, I was like, you fuckers, you pulled a Fox.
I don't think he's infecting them. I think he just has it.
Yeah,
he's
yeah, yeah,
infected
yeah.
with it.
I think he's just carrying the virus or something, but like that he's like gotten used to it, or maybe he's
But that
patient zero.
it raises the question: where's his Bugster? Unless
Unless
he
it's
just,
Peridot.
no, I'm sitting here, my head's spinning. He didn't used to use Boku. What if that is the Bugster, and the Bugster and M are kind of co-inhabiting the body, so Dr. M is the Bugster, and the Gamer M is the original personality?
I think it's the opposite, to be honest, because whenever his eyes glow red, he goes and
He's in Gamer form.
Yeah.
That would make sense too.
and plus
Yeah.
Nico said that he never used to say Boku, so she probably
I thought Boku was Doctor.
no. So she probably met Emu after his surgery, but Emu probably used to say Boku before the surgery.
Yeah.
Huh. That's interesting. Yeah, there's so many possibilities. Like, the problem is, like, it's still a little too vague, so it's one of those things with, like, Peridot, like, we can throw theories out. I mean, at least Nico, we have something. Peridot is, like, what? Nothing. Like, you could go from, oh, holy shit. Phoenix Undead to, Sora from Wizard. Jesus, like freaking everything. DJ, whatever his face from Guy.
Sagata.
Yeah, that asshole. Like, there's just not enough. Like, he's interesting, but, like, he could be anything. Or, you could even go, like, the two versions of Ankh from O's. Like, it could be anything.
Yep.
Right. So, yeah. Anything else on this episode or theories?
I thought it was interesting that on the camera screen you see that he's 10%, or his blood is 10% of the Bugster virus. So,
Which would explain why he is able to transform, though.
Yeah, but I
without the
think
surgery.
going back to the headaches, the Bugster virus might be actually, like, fighting his body. And eventually he's gonna have to... I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, it can go all freaking...
Sorts of ways.
Yeah, that is
All
interesting
sorts of
because it's basically doing the Orphanak thing, or not Orphanak thing, the Kaiser thing, and it's turning it into the AG thing with Prototerra.
Yep.
I think that's the one. Right, the purple form.
Yeah.
Yeah, Prototerra.
Yeah. Anything else?
Nothing really.
You know what's interesting? I was like thinking, they're gonna pull Taiga in because like Laser's gone, so he's gonna be helping the team. But no, they went with a very interesting angle, introducing Nico, and now like they're basically doing like a parallel to Dan and Peridot, except like they're less effective, but less dangerous. Like Dan and Peridot, they're a really good dynamic, sort of, but like they're a freaking threat. Whereas like Shiro and Nico, I mean not Hiro, Taiga and Nico, I don't think they're a threat, but like, you know, they sort of had the same type of setup or the beginning of like a duo type thing. This could be interesting.
Yeah.
So yeah. I guess we'll see you all next week with episode 15 of Ex-Aid. A new challenger appears, the debut of Kamen Rider Paradox.
Yep, it's gonna be awesome.
Yep.
Bye.
See you later.